thank you guys very, very much for that session. So Joe and I are really going to focus now on the integrations using web services. For those of you that don't know, this is Joe Gasper. Joe is your, what is he? He's a, yeah.
I didn't write that.
Wow, that looks different.
Who's CKS 1978?
I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know what that is.
1978.
Actually, it got cut off. I started working on CAD in 1978 at Mack Trucks. So that's what's left of Mack. That's up there. Thanks for integrating my slides
I must have done
Chris.
that. Yes,
I'll
take the shot for that one. So Joe is one of our project managers. His focus has always been in the CAD area, the CAD integration area, but he, like Todd and many of us, wears multiple hats. So today, we're really excited to show you guys what we're doing with the CAD integrations. Really trying to focus on making them faster, just better, just stronger. We want to cut down on some confusion, though, about what a CAD integration is, because there's a couple parts to this. We just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So the Adept plugin for CAD is the integration component that performs all the tasks of extracting and updating, the push and the pull of the data. And this component is loaded and runs inside of the CAD application. It performs all the tasks of the communication between the CAD application and Adept and population of the virtual library. It also provides Adept commands and information inside of that CAD application. So that's one those are the two aspects, the add-in and the plugin. So the Adept desktop client is where you would load and configure plugins. It still is. When you log into the Adept desktop client, all plugins will load unless there's a missing dependency, like a CAD application or a viewer. The add-in is loaded by the CAD application. Today, the loading of that add-in requires access to the Adept desktop client. So you have to be logged in into the desktop client before you can use the add-in inside of CAD. And this is kind of what that architecture looks like. You've got the Adept server at the top, the database to the right. Those could be on the same system. But very simply, the CAD integration on the bottom. When anything happens inside of the CAD integration, it now speaks to the desktop. The desktop then either goes to the vault to get a file, or it goes to the Adept server to find out if it's available first, then goes to the database and gets its information. So there was easily an extra step in there. And this is what the 2018 architecture is going to look like. So Todd just referenced the web API. So now the task pane integration is speaking directly with that web API, which is speaking directly with the database, and the CAD integration is also going to be connected right to the file, so there's a quick transfer of that file. It's not being pushed through anything. And so for 2018, there's really no change in the CAD components at all. With 2018, there is going to be a change. So the architecture is the big change. The automatically loaded add-in is going to be able to log you on, or you'll be able to go to CAD, go into the task pane and pick that command, log into Adept. You're not going to require the desktop. Again, I want to stress, this initial one is SOLIDWORKS. We are looking at adding other ones and other versions of those CAD applications soon afterwards. And the add-in connects directly to the Adept web services, kind of the same way that the Adept web client does. It is the same way that the Adept web client does. So why are we making this change? First, many people need more performance, faster performance inside of CAD. It's always been an issue. And clients that are using the new architecture, we're now beginning to transition all of those products, as I mentioned. We also have, whoops, I went the wrong direction. There we go. The need for additional capabilities. This is ongoing all the time. We're going to show you a couple of recordings, but as soon as we came out with the task pane and added a right-click feature, immediately somebody said, hey, can you add this feature onto the right-click? And then could you add this? And so these things are constant, and we're always trying to improve on those things. And lastly, we know you want your products to be faster, cheaper, and better. And as Joe likes to say, we'll give you two.
We'll give them 2 of those.
Okay, we'll give them faster. 2 out of 3. All right, so first, we migrated the existing Adept integration components from the desktop-based integration to the web services-based integration. That alone was a huge job. We added new features, especially to the task pane, which has some usability features along with access to commands not available in the task pane before, and you'll see a couple examples. Some of these include send to command when you create new files, being able to use the templates that you would typically have gotten from the desktop when you created new files, as well as being able to take part in workflows, approve and reject. Even some of the movement between the virtual libraries is going to be manageable right from that location. And now, Joe, you want to direct us?
I'll come up on this side. I must admit, this is the first time that I'm talking about a product that someone introduced it as breathing new life into. I didn't realize the product was dead. But so we're definitely breathing new life into it. The task pane, how many task pane users do we have in here? Not nearly enough. Okay, well, it's my job to get you to use the task pane if you are a CAD user. The task pane is the user interface inside of the CAD application that gives you access to Adept. So first of all, the biggest change that we have in the CAD application is that it will take seconds to load instead of minutes.
Can you repeat that,
Please.
I have it in here. Yeah, somebody better clap, because that's the biggest complaint we've had about it. It actually would take, in some cases, 3 minutes for the task pane, for that splash screen to come up, for the task pane to eventually load. Now, there are technical reasons why it was taking so long. But with the new task pane, we're calling it the new task pane. It's basically the breathe new life into task pane that's running inside of SOLIDWORKS. And this is an evolution for all of our CAD integrations. It will take actually seconds for that task pane to come up. So that's very important. Once loaded, the task pane retains the 3 formats, or the 3 areas that we have shown there. The top is what we call the browse. Then we have, please don't start the video yet.
Okay.
And then we have the second, or the browse. We have the browse section at the top. We have the results in the middle. And then we have the what's called the action area at the bottom. The action area has actually now been replaced with the document dashboard, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. A major change is the inclusion of a ribbon bar at the top of the task pane. We added more commands to the task pane. That's obvious. We needed a place to put them. The task pane's ribbon provides commands not available on a right-click context menu. Now go ahead and start the video. So this is showing you, since there's no Adept desktop client dependency anymore, you must first log in using the task pane, and once logged in, the ribbon bar fully populates with commands. Commands for creating new documents, managing your virtual library, performing a send to, participating in workflow are all available from the ribbon. The ribbon can be pinned so it's always displayed, or unpinned so it kind of pops down when you need it and then kind of disappears. Very good. Next slide, please. This slide, it actually is a next slide. It looks the same, but you got it. Next, the browse area at the top has a facelift. More tabs are available to provide direct access to favorites, save searches, file guides, and other ways to find your files. Go ahead, Chris, start the video. A full set of tabs is now available, as you see. By right-clicking on tabs, you can change how they're shown, either at the top or at the bottom of that area. You can set them to be a multi-line or a single line of the tabs. You can even turn off the display of one or more tabs by using the little X in that particular tab. This allows you to customize the user interface to the way you want it to work for you. Okay, next slide. The results area remains in the middle of the task pane, as you see there. A major change here is the paging system put into place. There's a new line at the bottom of the results, paging. It's very much like the web client. This allows you, to specify how many results you get in any page, and that directly affects the performance. Now, someone's going to ask, but suppose I need to get 1,000 files in there so I can select them all and copy them out. There are preset values in the page count that is there, and it'll go as high as 5,000, I think, is the number we're going to put in there. Okay, start the video, please. By right-clicking in the column header, you can continue to add and remove, sort, and reposition columns as you want. Right-clicking on a document immediately accesses the context menu, which provides access to the most commonly used commands. Commands that are appropriate are available, and commands that are not are grayed out. Our goal is to have access to every command with no more than 2 mouse clicks. Now, I'm going to go off script here a little bit. There's always this debate internally as to whether if a command is not appropriate, should it be shown at all, should it be grayed out, or not shown at all? Well, our belief right now is that people want to see that it's grayed out because then they know, okay, that's where the command is going to be, but then they'll figure out why it's not available to them. Versus, I can't find the command at all, and you don't, because you're not in the right mode. So we'll have the command there, but it'll be grayed out. Okay, next slide. The action area now contains the document dashboard. As you can see down there, very crunched in the bottom. No doubt this is where we're jamming about 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. It's a very tight area, so let's look at how to manage this particular bag. Okay, start the video. As always, the task pane can be undocked and resized as needed. The SOLIDWORKS window has a neat little double arrow up there at the top. And that toggles between 2 preset sizes that you set inside of SOLIDWORKS. By selecting this toggle, the task pane pops out, can pop back out again. When it's larger horizontally than it is vertically, you'll actually see that it kind of repositions the action, or the 2 top panes areas, to be side by side instead of over top of one or the other. And this takes advantage of the space available and allows you to provide a better environment for displaying the information. The tabs in the document dashboard, just like the tabs in the action area, can be staggered or can be in single line. They can be turned off in one, positioned however you want them positioned. Next slide, please. Now here's one of the new features of having the document dashboard in the task pane. Now you can create and edit manual relationships, drag and dropping in the task pane. Here I've selected a document where I want to add a child. The edit button at the bottom in the document dashboard puts me into a mode where all I can do is create and edit these manual relationships. Here I'm searching for and selecting a document that I want to be a child of the document in the dashboard. I drag and drop it onto the file that I want to be the parent of the document that I'm dragging in. To remove the relationship, there I'm adding it to that particular assembly, click yes, and it's positioned now as a child of that assembly. To remove the relationship, I simply right-click on the file, and the option is there to remove it as a child. Now, this only applies to manual relationships, creation and editing. Extracted relationships cannot be edited in this manner. And when you're done performing the edits, you simply select the edit button to toggle it back, and they're no longer in that particular mode. One of the most requested features for the task pane was the ability to participate in a workflow. This task pane provides that and more. Here I've logged in as a reviewer. Okay. I check my inbox for documents to review.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
You're allowed one. I select documents that require my approval, right-click, and have access to the workflow commands. Note in the context menu are commands for approve, reject, assign, and unassign. What we want to do is to provide commands in only one place in the user interface. This is another area where I'd like to have your feedback if you don't like this idea. by eliminating duplication of the commands in multiple places. We, right now, are convinced that the product, by doing it this way, will be easier to document, to teach, to support, and you'll be able to learn it faster. Also, it helps us reduce that 10-pound bag down to about 9 pounds of stuff. So what you'd see is that in the context menu is approve and reject, but you don't see expedite approve and expedite reject. Those commands are in the ribbon, but in the ribbon you don't see approve and reject. So the intent right now in our design is the command's in one place, you'll learn that one place, and it will stay in that one place. If you don't like that, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Last slide. Now, if you're a task pane user, you're probably wondering one thing. Well, that action area, that's now the document dashboard, where did that go? How am I going to go through and specify I want to open a file or I want to check it out, and so when I drag and drop it, it does all these actions? Yes. So in the current integration, we already offer what we call our post-drag option. And you get into that mode by, instead of selecting Insert or Open, you select SOLIDWORKS or Inventor or AutoCAD. Then when you drag and drop, the system prompts you for, what do you want to do? Do you want to open it or insert it? So we're going to expand that idea. So everything will be, when you drag it and drop it, that's when you'll be asked, what do you want to do? Do you want to insert? Do you want to open? Do you want to replace? Do you want to copy? Whatever it is that you need to do. So in the task pane, you'll no longer go down here and set something wrong and drag and drop, and oh, I didn't want to open it, I wanted to insert it. You would now be prompted afterwards. That idea comes from basically the CAD applications themselves, for like the file open dialog or the insert dialog in SolidWorks. This is where you would pick your file, and then here you would set all these options, the mode, configurations, and so forth. So our idea is to position that and provide that to the user after they've done their drag and drop. Okay. I think one of the things, let me go back here. I want to stay on my script. So this change will be more like how the CAD applications do it today. That's important to us. But here's where you can help us. So I've talked about a couple things here where we're making a decision and I want your input. Is it okay that we only show the command in one place? You know, in Adept desktop client, you can probably find a command in 4 or 5 places sometimes. And that can be hard for a user to understand or learn, certainly document, certainly support. Well, did you pick it from here or did you pick it from there? So what we're trying to do in the task pane, because it is a very small, tight area, is to try to keep the UI simple. The other thing is this post-drag. If you're a task pane user today and you like or don't like that idea, I'd like to know about it. One of the things I'd like to point out is by the end of tomorrow, I have this little notebook that I carry around with me. I want this notebook filled with feature requests from you. That's my expectation.
Let me have the notebook.
No, you can't have it. I want this filled up. And you need to get to me before Dave Ruddock does. Because Dave Ruddock currently holds the position of the most feature requests in Adept. He has 105 feature requests put into our system.
Thank you.
The next nearest one is in the 60s, and they happen to be here too. That's from Viking Air. So they're in the room as well.
Thank you, guys.
But Todd and I and Steve as product managers, part of our job is to make sure the product fulfills what our customers want. And Chris as well is part of that input, taking that in, bringing that in. Anytime Chris calls me, it's usually about, hey, can we, what about put this in? Those are good conversations. We like to have those. So please, I'd be glad to talk to anybody, help me fill this book up, and we'll get our information put into the system. I can't guarantee whoever put it in, but it'll be cataloged.
So we'd like to offer a couple questions. Joe had put in a few sample questions that he thought you might ask. You want to answer all those?
I think it's no, yes, yes, and yes. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yep.
So the integrations, I will take a moment. This is an evolution of our CAD integration, the task pane integration. It is version specific, CAD application specific. So in Adept 2018, our target right now is to release this new integration because it doesn't use a desktop. It comes in through the web API for SOLIDWORKS 2018. That's our target, and only that release. It may change, but I doubt it. So don't think, oh my God, I've got these AutoCAD users and now they need to learn this, or I've got these Inventor users. No. For Adept 2018, all the other integrations will stay just like they are. SOLIDWORKS 2018 will be in this new mode. And our intent then is to quickly add the additional ones. And because we are using newer technologies and we breathe new life into this thing, it actually will, our belief, and we know it will be, it'll be faster to now add improvements to the task panes, to get them moved over and migrated into this new mode, and there'll be faster performance for the end user. So it will take a little time and a few releases for us to get everything transitioned. The new integration, or the task pane integration, will still take an Adept desktop license. So you don't need, although there was an Adept web creator license that will be created, the task pane user, a CAD user, will still just take into the existing Adept desktop license. For update training, we're looking at doing some videos and having certainly some live training, but also creating some videos to show existing task pane users the differences between the two. Visually, it's a little different. The replacing with the document dashboard at the bottom is going to be a difference, but we need to cover those bases. Can you still turn off the integration in the CAD application? Yes, you can. There are those users that just don't need the task pane. And they think, hey, you know, I just want to hide it. I want to turn it off. You will always be able to do that. We hope that the task pane becomes such an integral part of the CAD user's usage that they won't want to turn it off. And that's what we're trying to achieve. It needs to provide the functionality so they don't need to turn it off. They actually see the value in using that as their means to work with Adept data. Any other questions? Yes.
Since the desktop client is not required, will there be any local install required?
Yes. The task for the task pane integration is a local installation of components onto the CAD workstation. Yes, there still is. Yes, sir.
Will that follow up then? Will that come in through like Adept update and install? We can have it automatically update when somebody runs Windows and wants to start up and checks to see if the Adept update will get pushes out through that.
Well, there's two pieces to that, and that is if I load SOLIDWORKS 2018 and I have the desktop client, will it know which one to now push out to me and up? We haven't figured all those details out yet.
It should be good to push that out.
Yeah, it should be. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that. That's a quick question, if I may interrupt. How many people here use Adept Update as their means for updating their client machines? Not too many. Okay. We always have that question internally. Does anyone really use this? You know, so, okay. Go ahead.
One more. Can you still pull the task pane out of the main
Yes.
application?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, he asked if you could still take the task pane right out of the application and have it float around.
Like undock it on a second monitor or something like that. Yep, absolutely. Yes, sir.
When do you plan to extend the screen manager for SOLIDWORKS?
Well, SOLIDWORKS is our first. We were thinking of timing this release originally with the release of SOLIDWORKS 2018, which as of yesterday still was not officially released, but it will be very soon. So it'll be SOLIDWORKS and then Inventor and AutoCAD. And we think they could all come out, you know, after the initial one, when we got, okay, it's all done, we should be able to bring out those others fairly rapidly.
By rapidly, because I'm an Inventor user.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something we'd see in a service release of Adept 2018, or is
My guess would be a service pack for 2018. It will be next year, absolutely. So that would be as a service pack to Adept 2018. Yeah, hopefully the first one. Yeah, because I'm anxious to get it out there. I mean, we all are. Any other questions?
Hey, Joe.
Is that Don?
This is your favorite question here.
Oh, my God. Yes, sir.
Do you plan on doing an integration for MicroStation?
Don't invite him next year. Yes, we do.
And you can register your vote for it a little later on.
Yeah, here in my notebook, the last page. Thank you.
Thank you guys very, very much.